So here's what the New England Patriots announced on Thursday night. The New England Patriots and head coach Bill Belichick have begun contract extension discussions with Jerod Mayo that would keep him with the team long term. In addition, the team will begin interviewing for offensive coordinator candidates starting next week. They didn't have an offensive coordinator this year officially. Unofficially, it was Matt Patricia, longtime defensive coordinator and 2+ year head coach of the Detroit Lions. Bill O'Brien's name has been rocketing around the rumor mill for weeks now, Peter. So, and look, they have to go through a process. The Rooney Rule has application to coordinator jobs now, too. They can't just wave a magic wand and bring in Bill O'Brien, but they're making it clear that they now have embarked on this process of officially searching for a new offensive coordinator, which should be viewed as good news for any Patriots fan out there that spent the year wondering what the hell this team is doing offensively.
You know, Mike, I think for the last 22 years, we've all thought, I'd say since, they had the great success in 2001, we've all thought that Bill Belichick existed as basically a monocrat, a guy who who rules as a singular person, okay? And I think this week that any thought that Bill Belichick rules that franchise alone, was basically corrected, because this week, obviously, Robert Kraft got involved, started talking to him. And I have a question for you. Do you think 2 years ago we would have seen a press release on January 12, 2021 or 2020, let's say, with a release saying, we are negotiating a contract with one of our defensive coaches? Do you think they would have issued that press release? And do you think they also would have issued a press release that said inside of it, we're looking for an offensive coordinator? No. And that's because the monocrat is not the monocrat. He is sharing ruling of this franchise. He always has, but it hasn't seemed that way. And now we know for sure, after that release last night, we know how it works inside the Patriots.
And how about this point, too? Someone I was talking to yesterday who likes to make the argument accurately that the game is still fundamentally about the quality of the players. And coaches can make a difference, but the players are the ultimate difference makers because they're the ones on the field. MDS, Michael David Smith, made this point earlier in the week. With Tom Brady as his quarterback, 18 seasons, Belichick was 219-64 and made the playoffs 17 times. Bill Belichick has now worked as an NFL head coach for 10 years without Tom Brady as his quarterback. 5 in Cleveland and 5 in New England when Brady was either not the starter or was out for the whole year after he tore his ACL. Twice out of 10 years, Belichick has made the playoffs without Tom Brady, and his record without Tom Brady is 79-87. From 219-64 to 79-87 without Tom Brady. Remember, there was that big question 3 years ago. Who's going to thrive without the other? Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? Those numbers don't lie, Peter.
Well, there's one other number that I would give you, Mike. In the last 3 years of Tom Brady in New England, the Patriots were 41-14 and went to 2 Super Bowls. In the first 3 years, post-Brady, the Patriots are 25-26 and have not won a playoff game.
Wow.
Ergo.
And the one playoff game they were in was a 47-17 destruction of the Patriots last year by the Bills. And hey, to Bill Belichick's credit, because I thought that, it's one thing for him to say, I'll be back next year. But if he's getting some pressure internally to make changes that maybe he doesn't want to make, that could create some friction that could cause it all to fall apart. He seems to recognize. I mean, he's a smart guy. Hell,
why wouldn't he want to make it
in the sport in any capacity?
What?
Yeah,
exactly.
You've got to do something.
So, yeah, And Mike, I mean, this is what I say to people. I doubt that Bill Belichick driving home from the facility in Foxborough last night, I doubt he banged the steering wheel and said, bleepity bleep this franchise, or I hate Kraft, or whatever. He knows that Mac Jones has regressed. You know, he knows that their offense is terrible. He knows that they have to have a fix, whether it be an external fix, almost certainly. You know, look, he is stubborn, but he's not stupid.
One point that is confusing to me, and I understand how the coaching lists get made, and you've got the rising coordinators who have never done it before, and they're just presumed they're going to walk in and be great, and then you have Nathaniel Hackett, and it's like the owners don't learn those lessons. But Bill O'Brien was not a bad coach with the Texans. And look at what the Texans have been since they fired him. Isn't it odd that we only hear his name as a potential offensive coordinator and not as a head coach?
I think it's a little odd, but I do think that there was a lot of stuff at the end in Houston that painted Bill O'Brien in a bad light. To me, most of it unjustifiable. But I do think that the way that ended, and Mike, I think the one other thing is, if you've got a franchise quarterback, you've got to find a way, you've got to learn how to get along with your franchise quarterback. And at the end, that was not a good relationship between him and Deshaun Watson. Now, I'm not blaming Bill O'Brien. All I'm saying is that when you have a great quarterback, you've got to find a way to build a bridge toward him. And I don't think the Texans did that at the end. And again, I am not blaming O'Brien. I am simply saying that you've got to find a way to do that. So I guess I am blaming him, but I'm not saying that he didn't have reason to have this gulf between him and Watson. But you can't have that gulf. You got to figure out a way to bridge it.
Right, but maybe he learned a valuable lesson from that. He otherwise got the job done. It just fascinates me that there are coaches out there who have proven they can win, and their names don't come up. And then there are coordinators who have never been head coaches before, and it's a fundamentally different job. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. Case in point, Nathaniel Hackett. It's just amazing to me that, and I'd love to know what drives this for the owners. Which coaches who previously worked as NFL head coaches get second chances and which ones don't. It's a fascinating wrinkle to a fascinating business. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.